I'm trying to remember what
Oh.
you're talking about.
You remember Solomon?
Uh,
I'm kind of talking random things, but
who knows? Something controversial.
yeah, whatever it
As
is,
usual.
it's great. Okay, yeah. So, hey guys, how's it going? Isaiah Satterthite and Solomon Cullum. We're the authors of The Golden Standard, and you can pre-order it. Actually, you can order it now. It's actually on Amazon.
On Amazon.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble, all the other websites and all that stuff. Go ahead, check it out. We really appreciate it if you do. So we're just going to talk about a little bit about our book and our policies and our thoughts behind it and all that fun stuff. Any initial things you want to talk about in the book, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think this book really kind of gives a good outline of, not only our personal beliefs, but really, I think, good overarching, principles for, I think, how, people should live on a day-to-day basis that not only correspond with the Christian faith, but really, putting our own country and prioritizing the communities and the areas that we live in as well. So I think that really this book really does a good job at summarizing that, really emphasizing it, and really also not only explains what those principles and values are, but outlines where they came from and ultimately why we believe in them as well.
For sure, yeah, definitely. I mean, most of our stuff in our book, I mean, we want to make sure that it's backed by scripture first and foremost. We want to make sure our theology is correct and all those things for sure. I like what you said about like in the communities and in our families, stuff like that. This is not just for like the workplace and like how to act in like certain scenarios. This is for everyday life, whether you're hanging out at a family function and doing your thing or whatever, whether you're at church, whether you're, just in the random places out and about. You want to live your life to the best of your abilities. You don't want to do anything in a lackluster form. We were talking about earlier about like first impressions, stuff like that, and how that's super real these days. Thank God that we get like second chances sometimes, but not every time. We get to redo a meetup with somebody or just a random interaction. So we want to really make sure we're holding ourselves to a higher standard than what you think that is acceptable per se. You want to make sure you do everything to the best of your abilities, and that's what we talk about in our book for sure.
Yeah, and I also think too, a lot of what's outlined in this book, it may seem simple, it may seem straightforward, but I really think that it's more centralized around the courage and the ambition to, I think, really practice simple beliefs within our culture that I think really has been neglected over the past decades. And I think, not a lot of what, we necessarily say is new or revolutionary, but more about bringing it to the forefront and really not only prioritizing it, but outlining how it can be used in different areas of our societies, different, career paths, different situations, in life, and really kind of being able to hone in on, our generation and kind of the generations that come after us on really how to, live to the gold standard and kind of outline as well, what that's going to produce on a societal level as well.
Definitely. So, like, what are your first thoughts when you hear people say, those Gen Zers or those millennials and Gen Alpha? A lot of people give us a lot of flack, but
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what they say, has some validity to it. I mean, I definitely am concerned about our generation and the ones that follow. I mean, I think you see lots of laziness, lots of entitlement, the lack of critical thinking. So I definitely think there are some credible, concerns. But I think too, we just can't raise the white flag just yet. I mean, I think that, there needs to be leaders, there needs to be individuals like us who will come to the forefront, step out, and, not only recognize that there is a problem, but offer solutions to it. Because again, I think also something that, people have to realize too is that you can't solve a problem unless you acknowledge that there is one. And I think not only does this book kind of, pinpoint that, but it offers step-by-step solutions, step-by-step principles that I think can not only, solve those concerns, but also really push our society, our generations, and our culture, forward in the right direction as well.
Yeah, for sure. What would you, I guess, say to like, a high school class now that's like, about to go out into the real world and they're about to experience things and maybe they weren't really anticipating, maybe they thought everything's been handed to them on a silver platter, or maybe they know. Who knows?
Yeah,
what would you say to them?
Honestly, I think one of the major things I would really kind of hone in on is honesty. I mean, I think they're going to be kind of in for a little bit of a wake up call. I don't say that in a bad way, but I think as you transition, from kind of that high school early years to college, and even subsequently after college, I think you really start to kind of see how the real world works. Again, of course, our Christian faith and kind of how we were raised. Those are kind of the little bubble that we were always kind of raised in, and I think that's good to a certain extent. But I think as you continue to kind of branch out and kind of leave that, you begin to quickly realize what the world really is, and hopefully be able to use the foundational beliefs that you've really had instilled in you throughout your little bubble hood, if you would, that will really guide you through that unpredictability and the constant variable changes I think you'll encounter.
Definitely. I'll tell you what, man, like when we were in college or whatever, everything seemed so perfect, It's like, oh, this is great. Just go to school, learn some stuff.
It was so chill, very simple, and I think that simplicity, that lack of urgency, I think really changes the moment you graduate college and you really start to begin.
Oh yeah, once the bills come through, things get real for sure.
I mean, responsibility. I mean, nothing like waking up in that dorm room, knowing you have 3 classes and just kind of sit and mope through it, and you're golden. I think that kind of luxury of relaxation and kind of nonchalantness kind of it gets eliminated real quickly once you graduate, for sure.
Yeah. So like, how do you prepare for that in college? Like, or can you even prepare for it, or is it like just hey, you're out here doing your thing?
I think to a certain extent. I mean, obviously you're gonna have life hit you, to a certain extent. But I think really, knowing why you're there, knowing what you want to do, is going to be huge. Because I think you have a lot of people that even far after college, they don't know what they want to do. They don't know the trajectory that they kind of want to follow. And I think having vision is really pivotal to ensuring that the actions that you perform in college, after college, kind of follow kind of the path you have planned. Of course, not everything works out perfectly, and smoothly as you probably want, as you continue towards that. But I think vision and ambition are going to be 2, main kind of attributes I think that are going to be very valuable for.
What if someone doesn't have vision? Like, what do they do? They kind of screwed, or?
I mean, I think not having vision is going to definitely slow you down. It's going to limit your ability to, not only be successful, but I think flourish in your belief system. Because if you don't know where you're going or what you want to do, then I think you kind of get caught up in that kind of stagnant water mentality.
Yeah, you're in limbo.
Where you're just kind of going through the motions. You're just kind of sitting there. You're not moving. You're not really being as productive as you could be. And I think that's definitely an issue that I think you could pay the price with later down the road. I think and have some regrets if that's not really kind of changed.
Yeah. I think I'm probably gonna make a video about that. What to do when you're like not sure what to do. I guess it's like that's one thing a lot of people like have struggled with. Even me at times. Before I really decided I wanted to really go into finance and all that stuff, it was like I love basketball, but I don't know if I'm not going to NBA.
That's true.
Sadly, you said that's true.
That's true.
Dang,
that's true. Hey, I can't play either, but we're no LeBron James.
Exactly. No LeBron, no Steph Curry, unfortunately. But I still got dreams. They'll probably stay dreams, but but it's interesting. A lot of people, they want to be like someone famous. I want to be. I don't know. I want to be an actor. I want to be a superstar. I want to do all these things. And it's like sometimes, if you're not able to get those things, unfortunately, they kind of get stuck, and they're like, oh, there's
and you kind of piggyback off that. Having ambition is key, but at some point you have to also come back to reality as well, and know who you are, what your skills are, what your strengths are, and be able to, move yourself up, if you would, but also understanding what that looks like, what that entails. And just kind of put some reality on it, because everyone has dreams and visions and ambitions what they want to do, but at some point, you got to have a reality check as well, and ultimately kind of navigate, accordingly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too, they really stigmatize like a lot of, I guess, what do you say, blue collar jobs per se?
Yeah, or like trade skills.
Yeah, I think that's one big thing that a lot of people I guess I think now people are getting more interested in now when they see the benefits and the
Yeah.
different things. But like, no one. At least when I was growing up, not many people talk about being like a plumber.
Yeah.
It's like no one talked about those things. They're always like, oh yeah, you should go into real estate
Or
or you should
finance or
finance or be
whatever.
like a even doctor and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which are great things, all of themselves. But whatever you're doing, you can do it all to the best of your ability. You can be a light for
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
Liberty, champions for Christ. That's what they say in everything you do. We love that. And we really want you guys to really put that into whatever you're doing, whether you're working at Chick-fil-A, whether you're just mowing lawns or whatever.
And I think that's an excellent segue into something I wanted to bring up too, is that, not only obviously is there a stark reality that not everyone can be a CEO, not everyone can be a stock trader, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think Christ has called us to be in different careers, in different vocations, to be able to be effective. And I think to your point, whether you're a Chick-fil-A or a plumber or, a stock trader or a politician, right? I think each of those areas has their challenges, has their needs, of being an exceptional employee within that industry, within that environment, but also, has, its own people called within those areas to ultimately, again, live the gold standard, which again, it's all based on biblical principles, on what God has called us to do. And I think, demonizing, certain, areas of, careers or, not prioritizing or neglecting certain, environments as well is going to be a detriment, to our society as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And it's really interesting too. Oftentimes, like if you're working a job that per se isn't necessarily ideal, like let's go back to the fast food worker,
Yeah.
if they see you trying to apply the gold standard, other coworkers, they'll, one easy question they'll ask is like, why are you working so hard, man?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just like I'm saying, it's a regular 9 to 5. Just clock in, clock out, do your thing. It's not worth it,
Attitude.
What's your response to that?
Attitude is everything. People can see it. People can read it. And again, I think no matter where you are in life, again, maintaining that, belief is going to be pivotal. And just like sports, I mean, I know it's always, Tom Brady's mentioned in this book.
Oh yeah.
But I would say a similar principle applies. Is consistency is key to greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not only is that applied to sports or your career aspects, but also your belief system. Consistency is key. Consistency equals greatness. And I think your beliefs should not dictate because of the environment you're in. Your attitude should not fluctuate based upon where you are at in life. And I think if you're able to accomplish the consistency in that, I think you're going to, not only, I think, gain within your own faith, within your own self, but I think you're going to also be rewarded by those around you for exhibiting that kind of consistent behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you really have to at times sometimes even block off sometimes the negativity you may get from other people who, don't necessarily see the vision you have or the vision that God has laid out for you. Oftentimes it's like a lot of people are going to be like, hey, why are you doing this thing? So like, you look so happy flipping these burgers. Like, but no one can be this happy. It's kind of messed up if you really think about it. But
absolutely. But also too, you have to also recognize too is that sometimes you're in those positions of non-preferential environments, right? Like flipping burgers or working at a Trader Joe's, right?
Or a warehouse or something
or
like that.
a warehouse. Yeah. But I think some of those moments are going to be used for you in the long term, where you're going to not only appreciate that work, but I think it's going to teach you, knowledge or exposure about certain people or about certain, issues that you wouldn't have seen otherwise if you weren't in those positions to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think really looking at it from a long-term picture, a long-term strategy, if you will, of kind of the life experiences, and the jobs and the people you'll meet, I think is going to really, be foundational to ultimately what your life is going to look like at the end of the day. So,
yeah, for sure. Any last words to wrap up, in your opinion? Like anything you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think we really touched on, the importance of, our Christian faith, our prioritization of, excelling within whatever we're called to do, but also, at the forefront as well, really acknowledge that, we're, entering some exciting times, I think. Not only in this nation's history, but in terms of our world around us, just the changes and in just a lot of different societies and culture and economics and all those attributes, right, that really revolve around our world. I think these are times that we need to really be excited, but also realize that our faith is going to be really challenged, and it's also going to even be more powerful, I think, than honestly a long time. I think we're going to see lots of challenges, lots of important events, and lots of opportunities to not only influence others, but be able to promote our beliefs, which I think we both argue are the truth, are excellence, and are truly good in nature, throughout our world as well.
Yeah, definitely. I really think that this book is really kind of wake up call, not just to like you guys listening, but also to like ourselves. Like really helps motivate us. On a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning, where it's like, hey, things are real. We got to get up. We got to work. Got to do these things. Saying we want to get out there and do our things. So it's really important to just stick with the grind. We talk about it. We got to keep the faith. We got to keep pushing through.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Don't want to necessarily sugarcoat anything. This is where it gets real. Life is gonna have lots of ups and downs, and it may feel like they're all downs. Not a lot of ups, but just keep pushing through. God is definitely with you.
It's a challenge to ourselves and also a call to action as well for you.
Yeah, definitely. So we really encourage you guys to really start out. Easy way to do this. Start with your own families. Really just do your best at home. If you want to do dishes, do the dishes to the best of your ability. Stack the dishes perfectly. Line them up.
Just pass.
Yeah, you'll pass. Oh, dang. Okay. So much for our book.
I know. Right?
Yeah, go there. Yeah, just ruined right there. Okay. But the little things like that, or just being there. Being there for your family. Hanging out. Asking how they're doing. Being a nice neighbor in your communities. Little things like that can be easily moved into larger things. You get bigger and bigger roles in life or whatever you do. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Check out our book once again, The Golden Standard. It's on Amazon, all Barnes & Noble, all that stuff. Feel free to comment any things that you guys have been either struggling with or really succeeding with in terms of living out the golden standard and excellence and all those good things. That's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope. We thank you for support, and we look forward, to your comments.
For sure. We got more to come in the future. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Yes, sir.
The best is yet to come.
Amen. All right. Catch up. That was really good.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir.